Welcome, everybody, to the Nuggets of Gold podcast. It's been a few days since we were with you guys. Now, we kind of missed all of the exciting news when the trade occurred. Unfortunately, I was on a plane when it happened, so I got off the plane, had a ton of messages, super pumped. Wasn't able to record until today. I just got home. So for today's episode, we're just going to be going over the trade in general, and then either probably on Tuesday, we'll have some episodes posted on, all right, can the 49ers go take a Justin Fields? Can they go take, a Trey Lance? Are they going to take a Mac Jones? Are they going to take a quarterback? We'll get into all that stuff, and I'll start right now. I do think they're going to take Justin Fields, but that whole conversation is for a different day. Today, we have a guest, Daniel, on. Daniel is a Dolphins fan, so we're going to get kind of his insight to what he thinks about the trade value. And Daniel, I'll start out with you, man. What do you think? Do you like the trade for the Dolphins? Do you think the Niners paid too much? Do you think it makes sense? What's just your overall thoughts on the situation?
So I'll start out by saying that ever since the draft order got set and I saw Dolphins at 3 and Aiden saw Dolphins at 12, me and Aiden have been talking how much sense it would make for the Dolphins to trade back to 12 and the Niners to trade up to 3 and take a quarterback. So I think that was something that we thought would have been good and beneficial for both teams from the very beginning. And once it happened, I think the price was fine. I think the Niners are okay with moving up to 3 and trading what they traded away just to get a franchise quarterback, hopefully. Obviously, there's a chance you could draft a bust, but either way. In terms of the Dolphins, I think that at the end of the whole Niners-Eagles trading thing, I think we moved from 3 to 6 and got back a first and a third in net. So what we got from the Niners, we traded some stuff away to the Eagles too, and net we got a first and a third to move back to 6, which is good because I still think whoever we would have drafted at 3, we're still going to draft at 6. So the Dolphins want an offensive weapon. We want Kyle Pitts or Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase, one of those guys. So I think whoever we want is still going to be available at 6. And we would have taken them at 3 anyways. And we just get some extra draft capital and move back because I think 4 is the Falcons. And I think they're going to trade down. Niners take a quarterback at 3. And then 5 is the Bengals. And there has been talk of the Bengals taking Jamar Chase recently, which is fine because then we still get Pitts or Devonta Smith. So we just want an offensive weapon either way. So I think that definitely works out for both teams. And the Niners get to take their guy at quarterback and replace Jimmy G.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the reason that the Niners traded to 3 specifically is because the Falcons are at 4 and need a lot more things than just quarterback. Matt Ryan is still fine. So I think the Niners were worried about, I know that they called to trade up to 3, 4, and 5 because all of those teams don't necessarily need a quarterback. But I mean, there's some quarterback needy teams like the Panthers, the Broncos sitting at 8 and 9, and you don't want them to fork over a little bit more than you would to get to 3 and pick the guy that you wanted. So I think there's a very high chance that one of the Panthers, the Broncos, or maybe even a surprise team are going to trade up to 4, and we're going to see 4 straight quarterbacks taken to start the draft, which I don't think has happened in all that long.
I don't know if that's ever happened.
I don't know.
I can't think of any.
Even the Patriots at 4, and I mean, there's a way that it could go 5 straight, which is wild to think about, given that there's 3 teams and 5 first-round quarterbacks. You're always going to overpick your quarterback a little bit, but I think that's a really good point.
I like that, just that there's going to be 4 quarterbacks. I think there definitely will. As far as the value for the 49ers, when it initially happened, I saw, they're trading the 12th pick. They're trading and then 2 future first rounders. And my instant reaction was, damn, that is a lot. That is a lot of capital you're giving up right there. Kind of just thought about it throughout the day, woke up the next day, and I'm thinking, it makes sense. You're going to have to trade a lot. And we were just talking about the Jared Goff trade, and we were talking about how much they traded up. That stuff isn't exactly comparable because this quarterback class is viewed as a lot better than a lot of the previous quarterback classes. A guy like Justin Fields at 3 or Trey Lance, or hopefully not Mac Jones, but Mac Jones at 3, any of those, those guys are going to be viewed higher than what Goff was coming out. And I don't know like if that's like everyone's going to be on board with that, but I would assume that you look at a guy like Justin Fields coming out of the draft, and you look at a guy like Jared Goff, and you go, okay, Justin Fields is the guy that has the better physical tools. He's the Ohio State starter. He has the better traits. And so for that case, it's going to cost more to trade up for 3 because he could be a number 1 overall pick in a different draft. And the Dolphins recognize that. You brought up the Panthers and the Broncos. They were absolutely trying to trade up too. And so the Niners had to outbid them. And I think what it really came down to for the Dolphins was they were willing to do it once the Eagles were willing to trade back from 6. And then you look at it for the Dolphins spot. Excellent job done by their front office. They're still going to be in that 6th spot. I think they're still going to land Jamar Chase because even though there is like some rumors about him potentially going to the Bengals need to get some offensive linemen, and Penny Sewell should be there. So I think that will be the pick, and then I think that they'll get Chase at 6. They probably would have taken Chase at 3. So what they're doing is they're getting an extra first and an extra third for moving back and taking the same guy. That's massive. That's awesome. I mean, I applaud them for going out and being aggressive and doing that move, but I also applaud the Niners for doing the same thing because they're going to get their franchise guy. Is it risky? Absolutely. You're trading 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick for an unproven quarterback. And we see this all the time, and we see it pan out a lot of times, and we don't see it pan out. I think that I don't think every team could make the move that the Niners just made. I think if the Broncos made this move, I'd go, yep, it's going to backfire. They don't really have the offensive. They have the offensive personnel, but I don't know if they have the offensive coaching in place. Because if you have an elite coach like an Andy Reid, like a Kyle Shanahan, like a Sean Payton or a Sean McVay, you need to go get a good quarterback. That's what we're going to see with the Saints, I think, soon. And I don't think it'll be this year, but I think next year we're going to see them try to make a big move and go get, all right, we're going to get our new young quarterback. Good teams are aggressive at quarterback, especially when you have an offensive coach, and they go out there and they want to win. So I think at the end of the day, maybe like by like value standpoint, it's a little bit of an overpay, but I still love it. I think you have to be aggressive, and I applaud both of these teams for going out and going, hey, we're not just going to sit here. The Dolphins are like, hey, we're not going to sit here at 3. We're going to move back. We're still going to get a guy that we really, really want, and a guy that I think that's the guy that they covet the most is Jamar Chase, and I think they're going to get him. And the Niners are like, no, we want a quarterback. We're done with it. We're paying Jimmy G. We want a guy on a cheap rookie contract. We have a veteran roster. We're going out. We're making this big move. So I like it for both teams. But anything else you guys wanted to add just on the value of it?
I would say it's interesting that you bring up Goff because I think everybody would say that trade didn't really work out. But their records over the last 4 years, 11-5, made the playoffs. 13-3, made the Super Bowl. 9-7, won a game out of the playoffs. 10-6, won a playoff game. They haven't made a first-round pick since Sean McVay was there, and they've been competitive every single year. They just made a trade for Matthew Stafford. I don't think not having these first-round picks really cripples your future at all, especially because the Niners don't have that many holes, and it's going to allow us to maybe bring a guy like Dre Greenlaw back, for example, where in a normal case, if we had a first-round pick and he was an expiring free agent and we don't really want to pay him, like maybe we wouldn't. But if you got a rookie on a rookie deal, you can afford a guy like that on a 2-3 year deal with a lower cap hit. So I really like the trade.
What I was going to mention is that you're trying to catch up. I wouldn't say catch up, but the NFC West is insanely competitive. It might be the best division in football, and the teams in that division, besides maybe the Seahawks, are only getting better. And the Niners realize this. The Rams just got Matthew Stafford. They gave up a lot. They don't have another first-round pick for feels like 10 years. But like Aiden just said, when you don't have holes, it doesn't really make a difference. And the Rams don't really have any holes. And their only hole that they had was Jared Goff wasn't that good. And even then, Jared Goff and McVay made Jared Goff work. McVay took Jared Goff to a Super Bowl and almost beat the Patriots. That's still pretty good. And the Rams just reloaded though. They just got Matthew Stafford. I think that's a huge upgrade. I think Matthew Stafford is going to be sick. The Rams have a lot of weapons. I think they had the best defense in the league last year. And I know the Niners had a lot of injuries and stuff, but I think that the Niners and the Rams are gonna have to battle it out for first in the division next year. because I think that the Niners are trying to go get their guy at quarterback, get rid of Jimmy G. Do we know if they're going to get rid of Jimmy G? Because there's like a lot of talk going on about what they're going to do with that.
I think I will definitely do a show on that later in the week just to like
Yeah.
go over, okay, is that going to happen? I do think that there's a reason to believe both sides.
Yeah. Because they
And I
need to
think
get
that
rid
you
of
can,
his money, because
yeah,
you don't want
but
to pay a
also
backup quarterback.
yeah, for him, you can even like the dead cap goes down the next year. So like if you hang on him for one more year and then I don't know, they moved him next off season. Like there is an argument to be made for doing either one. And also the 49ers came out and said like, oh, Jimmy's our guy or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't believe that. Like
That's
we've
smoke.
seen like they've been shopping him all off season. It's not like, oh, he's our guy. No, they've been trying to move on from him.
Yeah.
And even if they take a rookie, like they might hang on to him. I think there's a chance, but I don't really know. I like that you bring up the Rams. You did say that they didn't have any holes on the roster, and some people be like, "Well, John Johnson left," and like they have a lot of young talent, and I think that's the part of the Rams that gets kind of forgotten is, oh, they don't have any of these first round picks. Yeah, but they hit on day 2. They go out there and they draft guys on day 2, and they get good players, and they sign solid players that come up and they do well. You know, Leonard Floyd, for example, they signed him from the Bears. He was struggling. He has a bounce back season, and they extend him. There's a lot of guys like that where they're okay, I don't know like what this guy is. They get him, he plays better. Now a lot of that is really because you have Aaron Donald and you have Jalen Ramsey, and those guys are going to make everyone around them a lot better. So I do think there's some question marks on the defensive side of the ball, but at the same time, I think they're going to get worked out. And that's the thing. Like that's what one of the arguments was for this Niners trade is you're selling the future for like a young quarterback that he's unproven. He might be a bust, right? One, I think you have to do it if you have Kyle Shanahan. If you're not doing that with Kyle Shanahan, I'm sorry, but what the hell are you doing? Like you're just wasting him. Like you really like if you have the chance to make one of the greatest offenses of all time, because that's what I think that if you draft Fields, the mindset should not be like, all right, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna compete or whatever with Fields and on his rookie deal. It's like, no, they're trying to make a quarterback coach like Hall of Fame pairing. That's their goal. And will that happen? I don't know. I think that's kind of a lofty expectations. I like it. I think that you just have to go after it and do a big and have a big move like that. But by trading, what was it, 2 firsts besides number 12? How is that viewed as selling your future? That's 2 picks. That's 2 guys. Did we not see the 49ers in their first year with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan go out and select Reuben Foster and Solomon Thomas? Because apparently everyone forgot that a first round pick is a lock to be a star player like Nick Bosa. That's just not the case.
AJ Jenkins.
Yeah, like
I
it's
don't even
not
know
the
who
case.
that is.
No, he was a first round receiver years ago, and I don't think he had a catch for the 49ers.
I don't think he saw the field ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I don't get this like, oh, they sold their future. Like they have 9 picks? They have this year they have a second, a third, a fourth, 3 fifths, a sixth, and a seventh. I'm sure you're gonna hit on a couple of those.
And I think if you're able to move Jimmy, I think a team like the Patriots, if they're not able to move up, they get a little desperate, and I could see them offering up to like a second rounder, like number 46.
It was rumored that was an offer earlier in the year, but it's fallen down. I don't know if you saw this. So this is so funny to me. We got to get into Jimmy a little bit today, I guess. But so the Niners are like, we're not trading Jimmy.
Yeah.
And the Patriots are like, oh really? Well, we don't even want Jimmy. And they just have this back and forth of like, no, we're not going to trade for him. And there's like being offers made, but they're like to the media, they're saying the exact opposite. I love it. I think it's so funny.
That's so funny.
Just trying to drive up and drive down his value. But
that's hilarious.
No, I think that could happen. I think it's a second, third. I think that could definitely be the case.
That's assuming the Pats don't trade up to that 4 spot and pick whoever they like there. But if they're stuck going into week 1 with Cam, I could see Belichick being like come draft day, like it's pick 10 or 12. Belichick's like, all the guys that I wanted are gone. Give me Jimmy for that second round pick. And then the Niners have 3 picks in the top 50, including number 3 overall. Like that is fantastic. You could get the nickel corner. I forget that guy's name, Elijah Molden, and you could like even pick another safety if you wanted to. I know we have like 5 safeties under contract right now.
Well, I mean, you can just wait and see if there could be a stud wide receiver sitting there.
Exactly. So
there's
I
a lot
think
of
it just
things.
gives you options. I'm not worried about losing the third rounder in 2022. But yeah, I think you touched on the first rounders really, really well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up today. Daniel, thanks again for coming on, man. It was fun to just kind of talk about the trade value because I do think it at the end of the day it's a win-win
Yeah.
in terms of value. Like, okay, what do the Niners want? They want to go get a quarterback. Is it a slight overpay? I guess, but what does that even mean? Like that's such an arbitrary number, like arbitrary thing to say. Like, oh yeah, we overpaid. Like, really? Because if Justin Fields is a stud, then no one's going to ever look at it as an overpay. No one goes back and looks at the Mahomes contract and goes, oh, they overpaid for him in terms of value. Like, no one gives a shit about that. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. But then for the Dolphins, it's like it's not like adding these assets doesn't help on the flip side. They have a quarterback that they're hoping that is their future. I don't think they know, but they're going, all right, if we're going to do this, we need to see. So we need to get him Jamar Chase.
hmm
And
Either
we need to
way,
get some other assets.
we have a quarterback on a rookie deal, like minimal hit to the books on that. And now it's no excuses for Tua, really. This is going to be his prove it year, because if we're going to draft an offensive weapon, whether it be Pitts or Smith or Chase or whoever we feel like, any of those guys, either way, we just signed Will Fuller in free agency. We're bringing back most of our O-line. Devontae Parker is still there. Tua has all the weapons he could ask for. So if he can't perform with those weapons, our defense is still intact. We only got better. So if Tua doesn't perform under that, I think that's when we're going to know after this year if he can really play or not. And then that's when we make our decision on Tua.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. So anyone that's just checked this out for the first time, make sure to subscribe, like the video, do all that. Comment what you think too. If you think it's an overpay, I'd love to know why, because like there's definitely people out there that think that, and I'm not saying that you're not right or anything. That's just my opinion. But make sure to sub. We're gonna have a lot of content coming out. My plan is to start getting a video out on YouTube every day. If you're listening on YouTube, if you're listening on podcast, at least 1 or 2 episodes a week, and pretty typically one every Sunday or Monday, and then another one later on in the week. That's the plan moving forward. Just been really busy, unfortunately, in the heart of the NFL offseason, which is awful. But that is my plan moving forward. And there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about, even when, teams aren't actively trading. There's a lot of guys on this 49ers roster that are unproven, a lot of low-key moves that they made that haven't really been talked about. So we'll get into those throughout the whole offseason. And I mean, and starting after talking about this kind of trade, like getting into the draft, doing mock drafts and stuff like that. So it'll be super fun. Make sure to sub and everything. And we'll talk to you guys later.